things that help me make it through my day. All right. These are things that I use to get me a perspective that helps me not take things too heavily, too seriously, and that helped me get through my day and really through my life, And I just want to share these things with you because I think sometimes when I talk to people, I don't think that they really have those sorts of mental aids. All right, one thing, don't believe everything you think. I heard that when I was listening to a podcast one day, and it's very true. Listen, what you think, what you're convinced of, whatever it may be, it's not always accurate. Your feelings are your interpretation of the sensory information that's coming to you, and also chemical reactions in your body that sometimes are very difficult to understand. Sometimes you may think and feel things that are not entirely accurate. If you wake up a day and you feel sad, you feel depressed, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a good reason for being that way, It's just what you happen to think. Don't let what you currently feel consume you, especially if it's something negative. It's not necessarily true. All right? The next thing, okay, so there was an emperor, Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. He did a lot of writing, and I read his writings sometimes. One thing he used to do, Marcus Aurelius, is when he woke up in the morning, he would prepare himself for the kind of people he would have to come across. He would say to himself, well, I'm going to meet, I'm paraphrasing, I'm going to meet some ignorant people that are, small-minded or perhaps angry, perhaps they're very shallow thinkers, maybe not so intelligent. I'm going to meet people that are going to upset me. These things happen, and we're all part of the whole. I shouldn't hate them, even if they hate me. And it's part of life dealing with people like that. If you wake up in the morning and you do the same thing, you prepare yourself for your frustrations. You say to yourself, well, you know what? I may get stuck in traffic today. I might have to speak to some people that are unpleasant today. It's life. These things happen. It's okay. It's part of the process. Be prepared for it and don't let it overwhelm you when it happens, Be prepared to deal with it. You have all the faculties that you need, all the resources you need, the wherewithal to deal with whatever situation you may come across in life. And you can deal with it. One of the things overall is just you have to understand bad things happen in life. Whether you're religious, you could be the most pious person in the world, bad things will still happen to you. There is nothing protecting you. There's nothing protecting me. People really believe that they have guardian angels and bullshit. If something terrible is going to happen to you, it's going to happen. It's part of life. People get into accidents. They may be safe drivers, may have never touched a drink in their life, and some drunk driver plows them, and then they lose a limb. Or someone you love may die. Life and death, it's part of life. Someone had to die so that you could be here today, and eventually you have to give up the ghost so that somebody else can take your place. It's two sides of the same coin, and neither one is a bad thing, life or death. And so gain and loss is also part of life, two sides of the same coin. To believe in a state of existence where there's perpetual gain and goodness and great things happening all the time is very illogical. It's impossible. Just like the earth has its seasons, the weather has its times of change, where it's stormy and it's hot, it's rainy, it's cold. Life is the same way. Life is tumultuous. Things that are unexpected will happen. Even if you live in a cage away from all of humanity, things will still happen in your life. You can't possibly protect yourself from the process of life. So when you walk out of your door, prepare, understand the things you may not expect may happen today. Good things may happen to you. Take them in stride. Bad things may happen to you. Take those in stride as well. What is a guarantee is life is going to happen to you. It's going to happen to everybody. And you may think that the grass is greener on another side, and it's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. Someone with more money than you doesn't necessarily mean they're happier. Rich people are killing themselves all the time. If their being rich was conducive to their being fulfilled and happy, it wouldn't happen as often as it does. And so, really, you must be happy, and this is another point I wanted to make. You must choose to be happy right now. Whatever your situation is, choose to be happy in that situation. If you can't manage to be happy in your current situation, whatever it is, I promise you, once you get into a different situation, you'll find it hard to be happy and fulfilled in that one as well. Whatever's going on with you, whoever you're in a relationship with, how much money you got, what happened to you today, what happened to you yesterday, what's going to happen to you tomorrow, choose to be happy. You're here, you're alive, and you have a lot to be happy about while it lasts, you know? Life will happen, it's unavoidable. Choose to be happy anyway, because the alternative sucks. Okay, let me see here. Accepting your duty, you'll be dead. I forgot. Another thing is, don't get too caught up with what people think about you. You know, all of us right now, we occupy a very small space. Every human being occupies a very small space. You go to work in a small city, no matter how big the city is, it's small in comparison to the rest of the world. Your country is just one country. The continent you live on is just one continent. You're on planet Earth, and planet Earth is just one planet in a multiplicity of planets throughout the solar system. And it's just one tiny point in space and time where the events of your life are taking place. They're really not that big a deal. We're not that big a deal. You're not that big a deal. Your shithead boss or your whoever's pissing you off, they're really not that big a deal. In a few years, you're going to pass away. Everybody you know is going to pass away, and everybody they know is going to be dead as well. In a few years, no one will even remember your name. Who was your great-great-great-great-grandmother? You know, what did she do? What was she like? Very few people can tell you that. In a generation or two, hardly anyone will be remembered, you know, and the majority of us will just pass away into obscurity. Your life only matters to you because it's happening right now while you're alive. It's just, that may sound kind of morbid, but it's really just about gaining perspective, understanding that the things that are happening in your life may seem all-consuming, but really it's just things that are happening in a very small point in time and space. And eventually you and those things, your problems, your things that you're happy about, whatever they are, they're going to pass away. They're not going to be of any substance anymore, and we'll all be forgotten. What will it matter? In 100 years, 200 years, who's going to remember that some asshole cut you off in traffic, or that you won $100 in a scratch off? You know, take things in stride because they're really not that big a deal.